Okay, we are at 3:01. So I want to welcome everyone to our first Moms of Compass event. Cheers, because this is really, really exciting for me, for Megan and Gabby, the other two founders. This is our first edition, our first panel called Surviving and Thriving as a Momtrepreneur in Quarantine. For anyone who is joining, who is a mom and a momtrepreneur in quarantine, I'm sure this is something that's really top of mind for you, how you could be surviving and thriving, how you could be doing business during a time like this, and how we are balancing our lives and our businesses. So my name is Kirsten Jordan. I am with the Hudson Advisory Team in New York City. We are still sheltering in place here in New York City, and we are not allowed to do any in-person showings at this time. Everything is totally virtual. So it's a challenging time for me. I am up in Massachusetts most of the time. I'm in New York City for a couple of days right now checking on things, but I have been sheltering in place in Massachusetts, and so I have been trying to make it work there with my 3 children who are 6, 4, and 2. I would like to also introduce to you our other 2 founders, Megan Meekin and Gabby Cruz. They will be moderating as well in the background here. I'd like to give them a chance to talk about why they wanted to create Moms of Compass from the DC area. So I guess we can start with Megan.
Hey moms, how are you? Thank you for chiming in or for tuning in today. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Megan Meekin, and I'm I live in Maryland, but I work in the DMV area. I'm on a team of 4 agents. It's the Cassidy Allison Group in Chevy Chase, and I have a 2-year-old, and I'm currently expecting. I'm 28 weeks today. Can't believe it. So this is part of the reason why I wanted to start this group. Gabby originally. We work in the same office, and we were brainstorming of ideas of how we can help other moms. And, there's got to be other people going through but not talking about it, in terms of just how do we balance all this between kids and work life. So thank you for joining, and hopefully you get to learn something out of this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabby. I also live in Maryland. I do business in the DMV. I'm part of the Team Koki group. Sorry. I am a new mom. I'm 24. I'm also a single mom. So I really wanted this group as sort of like a professional support group within Compass, just because we have such a specific job and we're pulled in so many directions, whether it's professionally, personally. And I've already met so many amazing moms before this group started. So I'm so excited to see how far this is going to take us. And big thanks to these panelists for joining us today and doing this.
That's awesome. So what I'd like to do is also now introduce our contributors, our panelists today. We have effectively 4 women from all over the country who are going to be talking to us today and giving us their story about how they're balancing it all right now. First, we have Missy Zek and Sally Achuk from San Francisco. We have Sarah Desimores from Miami, and Kristen Abell, who is in Denver. Let's start. We're going to start with Missy and Stacey, who are going to tell us a little bit about their team dynamic, about how many kids they have running around between the 2 of them, which is incredible, and then a little bit about how they're, and then we'll talk a little bit about how they are dealing with the schedule right now with their kids and everything else.
Thanks. So my name is Stacey, and I have 4 kids, but I gained a 5th when we hit quarantine. They range from ages 9 in 3rd grade all the way up to a freshman in college. We are kind of in the Northern California area, so we are just north of San Francisco in Marin, and I work with Missy. Missy and I have been partners for
almost a decade.
Yeah, almost a decade. So between us, we have 7 kids. You never can tell how many, but 7 kids. So it definitely makes for an interesting day and week. Yes.
And I am Missy Zek, and I have 3 kids. They are 15, 16, and 18. 2 boys currently in high school, a daughter in college who came home reluctantly after spring break due to COVID. And as Stacey said, we've been together for 10 years. I've been doing real estate for 17, but Stacey and I were friends and worked together in the school capacity and decided to join, now we have a dog, sorry, join forces just to kind of help with the work balance. I had, 3 kids in 3.5 years, and Stacey's were very similar in age. And so we thought it would be easier for us to get our job done and have a partner. So we love it.
I love that story. So, now that you've introduced yourself, I'd love to just quickly hear from you about how right now your daily schedule is, with the fact that you can collaborate together and you have, and it sounds like your kids are friends with each other. Is that really?
Our middle children.
So give us an idea of a day in the life and how you're doing this, I'm sure you start very early in the morning until late at night. How is that looking for you?
So for me, I think it's a little bit different than Miss, because mine are younger. So my 3rd grade, so I have a 3rd grader, a 6th grader, a sophomore, a junior, and then obviously now the freshmen in college who have joined us. And all 5 are at 5 different schools. So it always makes for an interesting morning. My 3rd grader, also I don't normally introduce her this way, but she has a learning disability. As some folks who have a more difficult time, distance learning has definitely been a challenge for her. So I find for me, it's all about spreadsheets and schedules. So I kind of blend the two, both kid life and work life together. My kids have quickly learned what an Excel spreadsheet is and how to manage themselves off of it. I do notice that my morning has changed, and that normally we would be on the road doing inspections and showings and things like that in the morning. Now my morning is spent managing kids in a way, and also doing kind of the busy work of real estate. So I'll spend a lot of time answering emails and marketing and mailers and things of that nature in the morning, and then spend my afternoons, once the kids are done, doing showings, inspections, and photos.
Yes. So some could say I'm blessed, I'm spoiled, or as Stacey may say, cursed. I have a stay-at-home husband. So 4 years ago, he left the finance world. He just had enough and decided he wanted to pursue Ironmans and triathlons and become a fitness instructor. And so he is home. So essentially I have a wife, and he does all of the home stuff for the children, for the grocery shopping. He cleans the toilets, whatever you leave the list for him, he will do it. So my biggest schedule change has really been to adjust to Stacey's schedule, because I was so used to her running at 5 in the morning and then being my teammate as 8 o'clock in the morning when the kids are gone. But now she's really home with the kids, kind of getting them sorted throughout the day. So now that we are allowed to start showing safely, which happened this week or last Monday, we worked out together that, all right, I'm on in the morning, and I can show properties till about 2 when she's done, and she'll stay home. I can text her, I can email her, whatever I need, and she'll do, as she said, the busy work, the marketing, the paperwork, all that really fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And I can do all the interfacing with our clients. So this is really why I went into real estate. I was an executive at Levi's, but found I couldn't be a mom and a professional working woman at the same time. So I went into real estate so I could have the flexibility to do both. So having a partner really helps, especially in times like these.
So your partnership, you've been working together for 10 years. Can you just give us an idea of how your partnership came together, if that's something that you feel like was instrumental in both of your businesses? And so you told us how you break up your time now, but do you break up the responsibilities equally between the two of you, in a normal situation? How does that look?
So it started, I had owned some retail shops, some high-end children retail stores, and I sold those, I think it was back in 2007, and always have built and remodeled flipped homes. So my husband and I have kind of always been a team in terms of mainly building for ourselves. I've
Then people want your homes.
And then people want our homes, and we would move again. So I think in our 20 years of marriage, I think the last calculation was we've moved 15 times. So a long time for us in a house, which is the current one we're in now, is 3 years. Usually it's less. So Missy came to me one day and she goes, I can't believe you keep giving away your commission every time you sell a house. Yeah. And so she encouraged me to get my license and said, even if you're just doing your own homes, she's like, at least you keep your commission. And then she also said you get holidays and summers off, which is obviously a lie. And then it quickly became, you know, a $50-60 million business that we do in sales every year. So it definitely picked up. We each have our strengths and weaknesses. I am the tech person. She can't touch anything without breaking it in terms of technology, but she's the people person. She'll pick up the phone and give everyone the update every week on what the market is.
I'm the numbers nerd.
Yeah.
I love to crunch numbers, and every Monday I do spreadsheets to our clients and I tell them where the market is. I love to pull data, and I do it for every single client every Monday. And I think especially now in times like these, they want you to feel connected to them. And so that's the stuff that I love, where she does anything technological.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a really beautiful, actually, partnership and friendship and everything. So that's something to aspire to for sure. I'm going to quickly switch to Sarah, and so Sarah, I would love to hear from you about what what your family looks like, number of kids, all of that, ages, and then on the topic of routine and kind of setting boundaries with everything, we'd love to hear from you about that, and anything else you'd like to talk about that has to do with self-care and how you're taking care of yourself during this time.
Hey everyone, happy to see you guys. I'm Sarah Desmore. I'm in Miami, Florida. You know, people are like, oh, it's great, you're in Florida. All the amenities are closed. All the pools are closed. All the beaches are closed, so we can't do much. So, but anyways, I've been living in Miami for close to 7 years now. I'm a single mom to a 6-year-old named Eva. If you guys follow me on social media, everyone knows her because she's like social media famous. She's hilarious, right? So it's just me and her during these times. Her dad comes to help out a little bit, but he's still working. So I'm the one with more flexibility. But luckily, my sister is with me during these times because she lives with my dad. And, you know, my dad is over 60 and my stepmom is recovering from cancer. You know, she got operated, they got rid of it. So, you know, just to be safe, she's staying with me. So she's helping me out, but she's also doing some of her work stuff. So my schedule completely changed. I was finally at a point where I'm like, wow, I have my morning routine. Everything is great. Like I'm waking up at 5 every morning, going to bed, everything. You know, when you get to the point in your career that you're like, okay, everything is good. Everything is all like planned. And then COVID happened. So I realized that I'm way more productive in the morning. But now the mornings I have to homeschool a 6-year-old who's in kindergarten, right? So it's not like the kids that you can just leave in front of the Zoom. I really have to stay next to her. I mean, I think, like 2 weeks ago, I left her alone for 5 minutes and she drew all over her shirt. So I'm like, okay, I need to, I need to be there. So my days completely changed. Afternoons, I am on back-to-back calls. I have showings, I have inspections. I cannot do anything in the morning at all. I had to cancel everything in the morning, and I initially had hired my first assistant for her to begin in April, right? And because of everything that happened, she didn't start. So I had to, you know, give her a call and say, hey, would you mind starting part-time for now, but just take care of everything in the morning, because it's been very, very difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Usually my days are the mornings, I prospect, I take it, you know, I'm calling my clients, and then the afternoon, I'm all go, 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 right? So now the mornings, I'm homeschooling, and the afternoons, I'm go, 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 and trying to do admin things, and trying to call my sellers and coordinate showings. It's been a challenge. So one of the things I realized that helped me at the beginning, and I think that I discussed it with Gabby, you know, at first, I don't know what happened, but I had crazy quarantine insomnia. I couldn't fall asleep before like I couldn't fall asleep before like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And then I couldn't wake up in the morning. It was really weird. Maybe I was like stuck reading stuff on Facebook, whatever it was. It was weird. So I really had to get it together and be like, Sarah, you're going to have to wake up earlier. You can't go down that hill anymore, because the mornings I realized that I'm not waking up at 5. There's no point. But I wake up at like 6, and just that hour and a half that I get alone, I set the tone for my day. I read, I write a little bit, I relax, I drink my coffee, just looking out the window. I just relax a little bit. That way, when the homeschool starts and when I just focus on what I can control. So I can't control the fact that I get a lot of business in the morning, but I can't handle it right now. So I had to learn to delegate and to just wake up earlier. And even if it's half an hour, I've had moments like today that I only had half an hour, but I need that time alone. I need that time alone before starting the day, because if I don't have it, my day just goes completely left and I get overwhelmed, and it's phone calls and it's appointments and it's inspections. And this also made me realize the importance of having a team and a good support system. So, my assistant, she just started part-time, and I can already see how she's going to be able to help me. So I feel like this quarantine really made me realize you can't grow without support. Even if it's, when my sister leaves, because she will, she's not going to stay here forever. I'm thinking of even hiring someone to help me out with my daughter once in a while. I think it's worth every penny.
That is very, very true. I couldn't agree more about getting more help, and even getting more help during a time like this, where some would say, oh, you should cut back. But I've actually leaned in and gotten more help during this time, because I found it's kind of the only way to make sure that we're all functioning at our top, right? All right, well, I'm gonna shift now to Kristen, and I just wanted to, so Kristen, I'd love to hear a little bit about you have 2 kids who are, kind of have different ages, and I'd love to just hear about your team structure and how you're handling your time as well, how that's working, and I know that your husband is working from home as well, and so give us an idea of how it's working with you. You have a pretty good sized team, and how that's going for you, and what all of that looks like.
Sure. Yes. Hi, all the moms out there. I'm Kristen from Denver. I do have 2 kids. They are 4 and 7. We have always actually shared a nanny. So kind of like backtracking 5 or 6 years. We've always done a nanny share, just because you know how this business goes, like showings all, until bedtime, dinner time. So for me, that was always like an integral part of my business. I didn't really realize until now that like my nanny was kind of part of my team all along. And then I shared an assistant for like 6 years with another agent. And then when I was like getting pulled in all directions and I had 2 little teeny babies at home, I decided to hire a buyer's agent. And that happened like really organically. She was a friend of mine, has a background in real estate and building and development. So I thought, why don't we give it a try? We'll just see. And it's been like a game changer. So she and I work hand in hand with all of our buyers. And she's been with me for 4 years now, which is so crazy to think. Our kids are both 4, well, her oldest and my youngest are both a month apart. I do have a team now of 5, which has happened. It actually grew a little more than I was planning in the last year, but it's been such a blessing considering everything that's going on right now in quarantine. We have a team of 5 women. 3 of the 5 are moms, and we all have 2 kiddos. And I have 2 buyer's agents, 1 like listing coordinator well, she's not an assistant. She's like a listing agent with me. And she was originally hired on to be more of like an operations manager. So long story short, I kind of learned how to grow the team model through Tom Ferry coaching. And that all just kind of fell into my lap, to be honest. I wasn't really looking for a coach. But then when I got a coach, I was like, what have I been doing all this time without a coach? Like, hello. So that's been huge for me and has paid for itself like 1,000,000 times over. So no matter what coaching style might fit your personality, like for me, it's been a game changer. Oh, and I have a kid coming to my door right now to look for my son. So my dog will probably start barking frantically. But anyways, so yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell. There's 5 of us, and I started really small, and each time I grew the team. I mean, I just really can't see myself ever having it any other way. Like, it's just it's so awesome. So yeah.
So how many years have you been in the business, Kristen, and when did you start growing the team?
Yeah, so I started in 2009 as an individual agent. I didn't start out on a team, and I just tried to like, sorry, he's literally at my window, like, waving me down. So anyways, so yeah, 2009, and then I think I hired a shared assistant probably 2 or 3 years into the business. And then the past 4 years is when I've really been trying to intentionally grow the team model. And that, I do have a long-term goal in mind with the team model. Like, I love real estate, but I do really, really love development and the design aspect. So that's where I'm trying to like focus my energy for like long-term real estate, while maintaining the team and helping them grow. And I've loved mentoring more than I ever would have imagined. Like, I didn't even know that I would like mentoring new agents. And it's been like really a gift for me to be able to help these ladies like build their confidence, and grow their own business, and in turn bring in more business for the team. So it's been really awesome.
That's really, really insightful. I am you also said, so like, can you give us a little bit, just a really, really quick, I guess, look into like what the structure of your the coaching has been for you, just like, and kind of, if you were to advise a mother who is thinking about getting a coach, at what point in her business you would think that's a good idea, and kind of what it's done for you, just a little bit more on the granular level, because I think it's intimidating to some moms to take on that additional expense, because we're already paying for childcare and we're paying for a lot of other expenses, right? It's expensive to run our businesses before we even get out the door, right? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And then I see Sarah nodding her head too, so I want to hear from her about coaching.
Yeah, Sarah and I are actually in the same coaching, so you can hear her perspective as well as mine. I was really nervous because there's a huge price tag, and obviously I was already paying a nanny, sometimes sharing, sometimes, and then I had an assistant, and then I had a buyer's agent, that I started splitting things with. So it was a big financial risk for me. But within like a month or two, I was seriously like, why didn't I do this sooner? So I probably started coaching 3 years ago, and I started in 2009. So if I had to do it all over again, I would have ripped that Band-Aid off way earlier, like a year or two into the business, just because as they say in Tom Ferry, like the ecosystem, it's just so you can learn so much from so many different people outside of just your one-on-one coach, that there's just so much value. So I don't know. I think Tom Ferry's funny. So honestly, that's kind of why I went that direction. I didn't really do research on anybody else, and it's been a good fit for me. And I love my coach. She's kind of like a grandma. So yeah.
I love that. Well, all right, Sarah, I'd love to hear from you really quickly about your coaching experience, just because you're more of a new mom, and that would be really insightful for some of our newer moms about jumping onto this a little earlier on in motherhood.
It's interesting because, like Kristen said, I was very reluctant on coaching, right? So my background is in mortgages. So all of my clients were realtors back in the days, right? So when I decided to become a full-time realtor, all of them, without exception, were like, if I could do it over again, I would get into coaching from the beginning. So I did. I didn't go into Tom Ferry. I had different types of coaching. But one thing I can say about coaching, especially in times like now, I had a moment where I was like, do I really need to be paying that much? There's a pandemic. I mean, we don't know how our business is going to go. Should I really be spending that much money on coaching? I should be more careful. But just looking back, thank God I didn't quit, because my coach, not only did he help me save deals during the pandemic, something that, at Compass, we have amazing management, but getting an external coach sometimes can give us a different perspective. And my coach is very good at problem solving, right? So he helped me save 2 deals that were going to fall through during COVID-19. Okay. So that's pretty huge. I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
Okay. Yeah, you're a little bit frozen. Now you're back.
Okay, you're back. Okay, good. So yeah, he helped me save 2 deals that were gonna fall through because of COVID. You know, when people try to walk away from transactions or when people change their minds, and I was very overwhelmed, and he helped me navigate through that and helped me save over $2 million in business. So for me, it's not just, you know, being on top of me, but it's also helping you navigate through different scenarios that can happen within our career. We wouldn't know this was going to happen, right? So, you know, he encouraged me to do a virtual home buyer seminar. He encouraged me to, you know, go out of the box and do different things that I never would have thought of. So for me, coaching is a no-brainer. And especially, you know, I'm a single mom. I don't, you know, I'm on my own for everything. And coaching also helped me in terms of time management and organization, and even, you know, being real with myself and actually hiring an assistant, right? After denying that I needed one for about 2 years. So, you know, having a coach, it's good to have someone that's completely outside of your immediate circle that can look at things from an external point of view. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, my coach made me cry a couple of times. He makes me cry a couple of times, but that's what I need. That's the type of push that I need, because if everything is going well, if everyone is always patting my back, I'm never improving. I'm never getting better as a realtor. And, you know, like Kristen said, the ecosystem, just being around like-minded women or like-minded moms who are also in coaching and are also very serious about their business and also serious about their family life. So coaching will help you balance both, so you can spend more time with your family and still run a very profitable business. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If anyone is having trouble, especially with time management, you know, look into some coaching because it can help.
That's really helpful. Really helpful. All right, Missy and Stacey, I'd love to turn this back to you, and just kind of, because you are really, I would call you the real veterans here, because you have the most kids between the two of you, because really, I mean, I have 3 kids and I can't imagine, I mean, having 3 is already too many for me, like one too many. So I would love to hear how you've kind of leveraged that in your business, maybe how you use that to get more business, or how you've turned it into a positive instead of a logistical nightmare. And maybe a little bit more of just like some sheer advice that you'd have for those of us who maybe are still kind of feel like we're still in the process of trying to figure out how to make it all work.
That's good. I think for us, especially, I think being involved in the community, being involved in the kids and the school is kind of a homegrown clientele base. We sit on the PTA board, we fundraise for all the schools, we sit on the foundation board, I'm the president of the soccer league. I'm introduced constantly to new people who are moving into the community, like-minded people who have children. It's definitely a safe, comfortable way to get to know someone first, so that they don't feel like you are selling to them. You're not the realtor, but you're the president of the soccer league, and someone can come to you and talk about, oh, hey, I have a question, and hey, what about this area? And that always then lends itself into, well, then let me send you this house, or let me send you this listing. And you kind of grow your client base organically then, being a part of the community, and our kids are involved. They are, you know, they wear our merchandise, they are out and about. So they are their own little marketing and advertising, walking billboards, basically. I think it also helps in terms of understanding our clients.
Yeah. Well, and I started real estate when I was pregnant with Fred, who's now almost 17. And he used to come to open houses with me and the baby Bjorns in my office. I would have a pack and play. And again, I had 3 kids in 3.5 years, and I have not had childcare since the baby was 4, and he's now 15. So for me, it was, I want to be approachable. I want you to know that I understand the phase you're in. I understand kind of the houses that you need. I, like Stacey, the longest I've lived in a house is 7 years. We just sold it. We've had 7 houses in 20 years. But we understand as a mother what it's like to have newborns and how you want them close in a house, or, you know, when they're teenagers, you want them as far away as possible, and your dad and mom want to be on this level where it's okay to get a house with, bedrooms down below. So we understand those phases that you're going through as a family when you're purchasing a house. The best example, we had a client last year, cute young couple from the city, said, we can spend 4 to 5 million on a house. And this was their first home. And I said, well, not to be your grandmother, but just because you can, does that mean you should? And so, we sit down with them, we say, tell us, they had one child at home. Do you really need this massive home right now? Do you want to walk to town? What do you really want out of a house? And so we ended up selling them a $2 million house. They couldn't be happier. They also they have money in the bank to travel, but they also realized they wanted to be a close knit unit, and we can relate because we've been there. So, being moms and being, selling all these homes has really taught us how to kind of leverage motherhood into our career and what we're going to show our clients.
I love that. And do you think that the two of you, do you feel like you push each other in certain areas to go after different business, or do you feel like there's a little internal coaching of the relationship between the two of you?
Like definitely Missy's taught me. I mean, because I wasn't in real estate other than my own homes, for sure. She's definitely taught me location and style and what's a long-term investment look like in a real estate kind of environment. And I've taught her, you can take that wall down and open up the floor plan. And, so we definitely have used each other and coached one another along the way. And it also, like I said, being that we have, these 6 kids and all in different environments or different age brackets, it really does help us understand when you have newborns, how you want the layout of the house versus, if they have teenagers and they're getting ready for college, maybe what they don't realize they need quite yet.
That's amazing. Well, it seems you're very lucky to have found each other. It's really great. I want to take a minute to ask Sarah just a little bit because of her experience with being a single mom, how you...
Hi, can you guys hear me?
There you are.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Sorry guys, I'm having some technical difficulties.
Perfect. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you're handling childcare. Just because you're a single mom, I'd love to hear how you're doing that. That's really admirable and not something that we're dealing with.
So it's always been something to me that was not I wouldn't say difficult, but I'm very hard-headed. So I'm not somebody who likes asking for help, right? And I've always been like, oh, I can do it all, I can do it all, I can do it all. But then especially when elementary school started, so she's in kindergarten now, when she was in daycare was open from like 6:30 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. So I had more flexibility with that, right? So when she began elementary, it was totally different. School finished super early. Wednesdays here, they finish at noon. And it really forced me, just being a single mom forced me to get out of myself and understand that it's okay to ask for help. And what it did is that I realized that there's such a community of other moms and other parents and other people even who are willing to help. And just by asking help or just by voicing the fact that I'm struggling with time, right? For example, let's say her school finished, I have to pick her up by 5 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, I have a client that can only do showings at that time. Now I have to ask for help or childcare if it's available. But what was great is that at Compass, at my office, I was able to become friends with other realtors other moms who have children as well, who don't live too far from me. So sometimes they'll drop their kids at my place when I'm there, or I'll drop my daughter off with them if I have showings. Even the building I live in, on the floor that I live in, I always joke that they put all the parents, all the families on the same floor. So on my floor, I have other families, and there's another single mom that lives right in front of me. So whenever we need to help each other out, we try to, I'll stay with hers and she'll stay with mine. And listen, and at first, my biggest worry about that was, is my daughter going to be like, okay, my mom is just dropping me with a bunch of random people, all the time. But those are all people that I trust and that I love and that I really appreciate, especially since they have children. And I look at their children's behavior and I'm like, okay, those are not, kids that don't have discipline or whatnot. So I trust them. But what I've found is that my daughter, because of all that, she adapts very easily in any situation. You know, I can travel with her somewhere totally random. I can take her to a party or to a different part of town, something she's not used to, and she adapts in 30 seconds. So I found that what is seen as something bad, let's say being a single mom or being alone, it's actually becoming an advantage for my daughter in that sense, especially in the social sense, right? She's very sociable. And also another thing that I forgot to mention before, even with the morning routine. So it's just being alone with my daughter really made me have her help me. I don't know if I said that right, but I'm basically teaching her to be more independent, to help me out more with things. So when she wakes up in the morning, I taught her to make her bed on her own, to brush her teeth on her own. And she's just turning into a little independent lady. And I feel like maybe if I wasn't alone with her, maybe she would have learned these things for sure, but maybe later on. So she understands my situation, and she tries as much as she can to, to understand and to try to do things, play by herself or do things on her own and adapt quickly to when I leave her with the neighbors in front of her apartment.
I love that. I think, well, the village raises the child. I mean, it's just,
Exactly.
it's part of everything. I mean, it's older than time, right? That their communities get together to help everyone. So I love, that's awesome. So Kristen, I wanted to ask you, given your experience with your team and coaching, but also, the time you've been in the business, do you have any like specific takeaways that you would, I guess, or pieces of advice that you would give mothers who want to really build a large business, who, want to build a team, want to like structure it the way you're talking about structuring, having people with specific responsibilities, like a buyer's agent or, that kind of thing. I'd love to hear your, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So, I totally lost my train of thought. Just totally blanked. Sorry. But I was going to piggyback on just one thing that Sarah said, and then I'll go back to that question. Is that my son, who's 7, is like the complete opposite. He's very rigid. He's very unadaptable. So for me, I have had to, that's why I had the same nanny for almost 7 years, because I needed somebody that I could rely on like day in and day out, so that when we were having a really rough morning, which is about 95% of mornings, like I could feel comfortable going out the door. Like I can't just drop him. So I think like really understanding your kids, trying to run this crazy business, just like really get to know your kids and figure out what works well for them, as well as, what works well for you and your business. But what was it, advice? So my advice, I would say probably that I've learned most recently is to delegate. I mean, it was really hard for me to do initially, and like to let go of control. I didn't know I was such a control freak until like I started building the team, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like that girl that's like a control freak, a micromanager, even though I'm actually pretty laid back by like my social life and my personal life. But in business, I don't think I actually am all that laid back. So it's been really hard, but also a really good learning experience to like delegate and just give up some control, and to be able to understand that people on my team can actually do a lot of the things better than I can if I just give them the opportunity. So that's been like a growing moment for me, but then also being able to support them and ultimately grow the team so we can, earn more money in the end. So.
Yeah, well, do you feel like that was something that you had like emotional resistance to, or do you think that was something that was more something that once you started doing it, you got the hang of it, or is it something that you feel like you push through every day? How does that feel like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I still think I struggle with controlling aspects of the business for sure. Like it wasn't just like a switch and, oh, here it goes, go do everything. But I think it's just, for me, it's a work in progress. And I think, yes, absolutely, it was probably emotional at the beginning. But now it's just that I truly want our clients to always have the absolute best service, so that, we work on referrals. So that's where I think it stems from. But then I've just, so it's a work in progress for me. And I think originally definitely was emotional, to answer your question. Yeah.
So so one of the last questions that I'd love to come up with and I'd love to ask, and I'd like to open it up to everybody. So I'm going to start with Kristen since she has the floor now, and then I'm going to ask Sarah and also Missy and Stacey is talk just a quick, any advice you have about mom guilt, maybe not being with your kids enough or being focused on other things when you're too busy or you feel like you don't have enough time with your kids, and whether there's something you've done with your infrastructure, with your team that has helped you with that. Or if it's something that you just, it's not an issue for you because you actually feel like you are able to spend enough time, or just give us a little taste of how you've handled that and what you think about that, and then I'll turn it over to the other ladies.
Well, I think I hadn't really thought about it, but honestly, I probably started the team because of the mom guilt. Like I was feeling so inadequate in my home life because I was missing bedtime, missing dinner time, weekends. I was booked from, 9 to 5 showings, and then you're writing offers and negotiating inspections during bedtime. So I think mom guilt truly probably started my team. And then I don't feel it as much because I really do feel like I can be present in the evenings. I can give my clients my full attention when I'm one-on-one with them or on a phone call, because I do have support. We have like a part-time nanny right now since the homeschooling. So yes, I think mom guilt is real for me, but I've learned how to adapt, and I am at a place where I really do feel like I can be more present. I don't know if in real estate you can ever be 100% shut off. I don't think it's possible. But I'd love to know if any mom has figured out how to do that, making it 100% shut off from business. But I'm at a much better place in my family life because of growing the team. So yes.
Well, that's encouraging, because that's when I think I'm looking for that at some point too. I'd love to hear Stacey and Missy. I'd love to hear from both of you about mom guilt, whether you have it or not, and how you feel about how you structured things to make it easier, I guess.
And we're definitely lucky with the team aspect. It helps for us to be able to balance home life and work life. And you're right, it never does shut off. But I think it's super important, both for my daughter to see a strong working woman who is able to manage, as well as my sons to respect a strong working woman and being able to help themselves. I don't like to helicopter parent my children. I feel that sometimes having to do it on their own and making mistakes along the way is a good education for them. And I don't feel guilt in having something. I consider real estate as having something for myself too. So it's my opportunity to have an adult conversation.
Well, and I told Stacey I might cry on this one, and she said she'd rub me back.
I'd rub her back.
But mom guilt, that's why we have a team. That's why, again, she has different age kids than I do. And, if she has to go to dance class and I have to go here, whatever, we make it work, right? So we figure out and balance our schedules. We do it every Monday. But being probably the oldest one here and the one with the oldest child, I have a freshman in college. Don't ever feel guilty. And this is where the tears will come in. My 19-year-old daughter, who I never had problems with ever, she's always been just a joy and a pleasure to be around. Her college advisor sent me her college essays, and here come the tears, about, it was about strong women. And it was about how proud she was that her mom had built such a strong career and was such a good mom. And that it was nice to see her dad also staying at home, and that she knows that in time, with balance and dedication, she could be a working mom as well. So kudos to you all.
And we're all gonna cry now. So that was beautiful. I could cry.
You'll never want it.
I'm like sobbing over here. So that's really awesome and very inspiring, and I love that. So a lot of words to live by here. Sarah, I would love to hear from you about your mom guilt and how that's working for you, or maybe you don't have any.
I'm hoping that when my daughter is 19, she writes an essay like that too. you know, so I have mom guilt all the time, like all the time. It's just, honestly, it's just, I feel bad for not being that mom that stays at. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I think I cut off. So I'm that mom that I feel guilt all the time, right? I'm not that mom that stays at ballet. I'm not the mom that stays at tennis. I'm not the mom, you know, they discuss being the helicopter mom. I'm not like that. I'm actually looking for help. But I do feel the guilt sometimes. And, you know, I've had my daughter tell me, you know, I think that I wish you would stay, you know, at ballet. And I have to explain to her, no, I have to go to work, you know, like I'm busy. I'm sorry. Like it's for you. It's for me to be able to send you to ballet. So because I've struggled so much with that and I share it on my podcast, I share all my struggles on my podcast because I'm like, there's no way that I'm the only one struggling like that. Right. So I've spoken about it on the podcast and I had to switch my mom guilt into gratitude. So I had to look back and say, okay, why do I have mom guilt? Oh, it's because I'm working a lot, right? What did I want? I wanted clients. I wanted my career to get to a point where I can afford these things and I can, you know, send my daughter to all those activities and for us to eat well and just for us to live a comfortable life. So I had to switch it from mom guilt to gratitude. You know, I'm grateful that I get to work more. I'm grateful that I can hire help to help me with my business. I'm grateful that my daughter can do ballet. And you know what? I thought about the mom guilt. Growing up, my mom never came to my dance classes or to my soccer. It wasn't like that. I don't know if it was like that in the US, but I remember in Canada, you know, when you went to soccer, when you went to dance class, no parents stayed. Parents just dropped you off and they were like, okay, bye. You know, it's only here I see a different culture where people, you know, are very involved in every single aspect of their child's life. But unfortunately, when you're working full time, especially us as realtors, it might not be possible, but we're doing it for the best of our kids. So the way I deal with mom guilt is that I talk about it and I turn into gratitude and I talk to other moms about it to make sure that I'm not crazy.
I love that, turning anything into gratitude. That's really, really, really special. Let's see. I would say I don't really have anything else, but if there's, we don't have any other questions. There were some other questions that had come in. So, I mean, we've covered coaching. We've talked about mom guilt. We've talked about growing businesses and creating teams. This is a really inspiring group of women. And I think that for Megan, Gabby, and I, it's been really important to have this be a place where there are, positive solutions-based discussions. And I think there's we heard a lot of solutions here today, and really a lot of really positive ways to think about motherhood, especially during a time like this, when I think a lot of us are put under some additional pressure that we probably hadn't anticipated. We're clearly over 2 months into this, so we've all adjusted and things are where they are. So what the next thing that we're going to be doing with Moms of Compass will be soon reaching out to anybody who asked to become a regional ambassador. So we'll be reaching out to those moms to see if they're still interested, and we'll be having a meeting in the next couple of weeks to discuss responsibilities and how that's all going to play out, so that in your local markets you'll be able to have discussions like this that also include your community, and trying to continue to foster this kind of discussion that's positive. We'd love to have these panels once a month. So that's an objective for us. So if you know other real estate moms who have topics that they'd like to talk about from within Compass, or we're starting to even talk to some agents that are outside of Compass that have really impressive stories that are mothers, just to continue to inspire all of us to turn however we're feeling into gratitude, or create more profitable businesses, grow larger teams, partner with each other when we can help each other. That is the real objective of Moms of Compass. So I would like to thank everybody for joining, and to Kristen, Sarah, Stacey, and Missy for your time and energy that you put into looking beautiful and making your lighting great, so that this is going to be something that I did record it, so that we'll be able to play it back and other people will be able to tune in later. And you can find Kristen, Sarah, Stacey, and Missy on Workplace, also easily within Compass. and you can see from the invite. So if you'd like to reach out to them and continue the conversation, put them into your referral network. These are some incredible markets. People are going to be moving. I think this is a great opportunity to have listened to some really, really strong agents who clearly could help you if you ever had somebody moving to these locations. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for everything. And we are going to continue this.
Thanks so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.